mouth breather. Something a little lighter today, since I just got done ranting against the insanity of coronavirus like 2 days ago. So, about out of that energy, but thinking about happier subjects to me. I was failing to sleep, and that brought the subject of sleep to my mind. To my way of thinking, sleep is not the cessation of being yourself. Like, when you go to sleep, you're not ceasing to exist for the day. The way I figure it, it's actually kind of the opposite. To my way of thinking, consciousness is like an extra layer on top of just being. It's one way that it's kind of been given to make sense of me is that I think it's the right half of the brain just sort of perceives existence and does not operate on a verbal level, so it does not write stories about what's happening to it. It just simply observes and identifies things distinctly, but mostly in a non-verbal way. And so the left brain, if I've got the halves correct, is the part of the brain that actually labels things in an abstract way and creates narratives in order to try and make sense of the world that it's experiencing. And so, to my way of thinking, that narrative impulse is not a bad thing necessarily, but like an unnecessary extra step that you don't have to have. And so, my philosophy on life is that when your consciousness turns off in sleep and you just experience things inside your mind without reference to the outside world, that is arguably you being more yourself than when you're awake, because you're not constructing this extra layer of consciousness and narrative on top of everything that you are, and you're not interacting with an external world that can sort of force you away from being yourself and put you in situations where you have to change your behavior because of the circumstances. You experience an entirely constructed landscape that comes from within your thoughts and your memories and your imagination, and this is all based on my own personal dreams, which I would have to say are pretty definitely above average. I made a conscious effort about 20 years ago to start remembering my dreams, which I never used to do. I started writing them down, and within a few years of the habit of writing my dreams down and remembering them, they became incredibly elaborate things, and still to this day, even though I don't really do the dream journaling anymore, not very often at least, I still wake up from my dreams more nights than not with a sense of how incredibly vast and sweeping the landscape that my mind constructed for itself was. And I don't think that I'm particularly unusual in that. I'm probably, like I said, slightly above average, but I think pretty much everybody, if they are not, if they do not have some unfortunate neurochemical condition that gives them night terrors or something, almost everybody, I think, could learn to be a dreamer in the way that I am. And the version of yourself that you are when you're dreaming is, in my opinion, arguably the more sort of pure essence of what you are. If you want to get metaphysical about it, you could make the argument that that's your soul, and then your mind is like an extra layer of abstraction on top of that you construct in order to deal with the external world, which I'm not saying that's bad. I happen to be a big fan of the conscious mind, but you don't lose anything if you go without that. Just being unconscious is not ceasing to be. It is very much the opposite of that. It is a level of being further clarified beyond the various distractions that the waking world can impose upon you. So I have no terror of death. Excuse me, I skipped a step there. I have no terror of the sensation of non-existence that comes from sleep and dreams. I do have trouble achieving the state of sleep, but I think that's I don't think that that's reflective of my being hesitant to pass out or anything. I think it's more that my brain has a hard time turning off. But in any event, I don't fear the state of sleep, and because many poets have equated sleep to death, that this is pure speculation. We have no way of knowing, because we've never spoken to a person who died and stayed dead. There are a few people who die on the table and we bring them back within minutes, but there's every reason to think that doesn't count. People who die and stay dead, I think that for lack of any better idea of what they're experiencing, we can think of them as having just gone to sleep and stayed that way and just come permanently unmoored from the external world and just drift off into the contents of their own mind and arguably soul forever. It's a fanciful idea that I have no proof of, but it's something that I hope is true and that kind of gives aid and comfort to me as I deal with the tribulations of my existence. Anyway, just a little 2 a.m. ramble to contribute to my body of accumulated thoughts. I hope somebody someday sees this and is amused by it or finds it interesting, but if that doesn't happen, well, I enjoyed making it, so who cares?